Coming out of the pen this last weekend, how was that?
It was good. I mean, it's nothing that I'm not new to, so threw a lot on Tuesday. It's just trying to get the body ready to go by Sunday, and the opportunity was there. So just at that point, my job is to come in and try and put out a fire. So, yeah.
I guess it's a very basic question. What makes you such a good midweek starter?
I don't know. I feel like a lot of times we're playing against opponents who thrive off of pitchers beating themselves, and so something that makes me competitive is just a lot of strikes over the plate, and offenses just are struggling to get free passes. They're not. The opportunity is smaller for an opposing offense, in my opinion, just because I'm throwing the ball over the plate and I'm not giving up free bags. So they have to be able to string hits together, and at least so far that hasn't happened yet. So it's been nice.
What's been working this year, just with your stuff wise? Just what do you feel like has been some of your better offerings this year, and what are you still trying to work on?
I think it's just a mix of everything. I think my biggest thing is that Hawk does a really good job preparing and calling games, and so with that, there's not a pitch that I'm throwing that I don't have confidence in, and every time I'm looking at a wristband or getting a pitch comm in my ear, it's full confidence and full attack with that pitch. And so for me, it's just the coaching staff prepares unlike any coaching staff I've ever been around, and that makes my job all so much easier.
I know we probably talked about this last year, but Hawk's been really big on the mental aspect of pitching. Just how has the mental game been for you, as well as
That's something. Yeah, it's something that I've really embodied more starting last year when I went into that midweek role. It's the mental preparation before a start or before an outing. Visualizing success before it actually happens is a huge thing that we talk about. So you've already seen it happen once before you're even in the game. Or you've already thrown a pitch, right? And so that's been a big thing. But just full belief in your stuff. If you don't believe in your stuff, you're pretty much already beat. It's something that we talk about a lot. And so as a pitching staff, that's something that we just try and embody is, how can we try and be a step ahead before we're even on the mound or before we even throw one pitch. And so it's just, full attacking with full conviction and full belief in everything that we do.
It's kind of the confidence level of the staff as a whole. You guys have had some really standout performances this year. Just what's the confidence level overall?
I mean, I think we're confident. I think we're also really hungry. I think I was reading yesterday, we got the tied for the best start in school history. I think it's something I was reading, and that's crazy because at least as a pitching staff, we know we're not playing or pitching to the best of our abilities yet. We think there's still more to push. The ceiling is still higher, and we can continue to raise that. And so I think we're an extremely confident group. The options we have in the bullpen feels like it's endless at times. Our starters, our weekend guys have thrown the ball extremely well. Grinny and Clark are super fun to watch every Friday and Saturday. Jackson Jordan and Kellen Knox have done a phenomenal job as well. So I think there's just so many options, and so our confidence as a pitching staff is just kind of through the roof right now. But also continuing to push the floor and push the ceiling up, just so that there's always going to be room for improvement in some areas. We have multiple blemishes on our record, and so we're not perfect. So
what have you seen from Colin? I mean, this was a guy who was really I think it's 16 innings last year out of the pen mostly. Just now he's arguably the most consistent weekend starter this year. What have you seen from him, his progression into becoming maybe an ace?
He's worked his tail off all summer, all fall, all winter. Like it's just constant. It's just a constant body of work for him, and so I think all of us are super happy for him. And I don't think anyone's surprised by it as well. He's the ultimate competitor. You can tell when he's out there. That's all he does is just get after guys. And so I think it's super fun to see, as whether it's young guys or old guys, just see his body of work and the changes he's made since last year, getting stronger, throwing harder, adding a slider. And so there's just so many different things that he's done to improve his personal game, and our pitching staff has taken off because of it. And I think right now we're just kind of all following him. That's a guy who's just obviously having success, and his actions are what's working and what's right, and so we're just following him.
The word competitor has been used to describe Colin a lot. Just how does that stick out? When have you seen him exemplify sort of an attitude of a competitor? Is there an example that you can use of him being a competitor?
Yeah, so we compete every day with PFPs and pitchers fielding practice. Ground balls, comebackers, get-overs, double play balls, whatever. And I think Colin and I are two of the better competitors on the pitching staff, and it's a daily thing for us, for both of us. We take it personally, and he's letting me know if I miss one, I'm letting him know if he misses one. But it's everything he does. It's in the weight room. It'll be to breakfast. It's 7:30 breakfast. He'll get there at 7:25 and let me know that he beat me there. So it's I think it's something that he does. Just he's embodied as his lifestyle, just as a competitor. I think he also pitches with a chip on his shoulder too, which I think everyone should do, but I think it especially helps him because I think he's still got a little bit of the what happened last year, and he wants to make sure that no one remembers that, and so he's all in as a competitor. He's all in with our pitching staff, but that's the biggest thing for me. It's just in practice and everything he does. It's just compete. That's all he does, and it's his best trait.
Does that kind of fire you up for when you're out there on the mound too?
Yeah. Oh yeah, because I'll come into the dugout and it's him. Between innings, it's him and Featherston and Grinsell, and they're firing me up or letting me know like, hey, that 4-pitch walk is stupid. Don't do that anymore. Or, between innings, Clark will be like, I didn't have 2 walks this weekend, and you already walked 2 in your outing. And so it's stuff like that where we get competitive as a pitching staff, and we let each other know about it. And I think it makes everyone better. Competition is going to raise everyone's talents and everyone's opportunities. So it's a big thing for us.
Question session.
Yeah.
Was there like a moment maybe in the fall where you're watching him pitch an intra-squad, or even this year like in a game where it's like, oh, this guy something's clicked here, like he's got it? Was there a moment, like a specific moment, or is this kind of an embodiment of the fall?
His body of work all fall was pretty ridiculous. Even the first scrimmage, he came back and it was 3-4 miles an hour harder than where he was last year with an added pitch and a mindset of like, man, you're just like, that he's gonna earn a spot. Like, he's gonna be a weekend guy, and you knew right away. I don't think anyone doubted it as soon as we saw it. I think it was just a completely different person than who we saw last year, and so that was something where it was like, wow. And then it just continued all fall, all winter, and now everyone's seeing it. But it's the same stuff we saw in the fall. It's just compete and go after guys. It's just a relentless competitor, and it's so fun to watch.
Clark, with you, with Grayson, you guys all, heavy change-ups, throwing it left and right. Just like how big of like a pitching philosophy is that for you guys, and how much does Hawksworth teach it, or is it just kind of like what you've always thrown?
The change-up? Yeah. It's my favorite pitch to throw because it's just, you throw it as hard as you can, and it looks like a fastball for 40 feet, and then it tails off. But it's not an easy pitch to throw too, because as soon as you slow your arm down, or we talk about all the time, we baby our off-speed pitches, and hitters are looking at arm speed and stuff like that. But I don't know if it's necessarily a pitching philosophy of what we do, but I think if you have a good changeup, it leads to a lot of success, especially Grinny. Grinny's it's ridiculous. His changeup's pretty filthy. So
you guys on the staff, do you guys kind of share pitching ideas like with grips and stuff like that, and try to twiddle around with new pitches ever?
Oh yeah. We've joked about potentially being like Cutter University now, since we've got some guys are picking up cutters now, and so that's a big thing in the winter. We were just messing around with grips, how we holding it on the horseshoe, where we putting the pressure, and so Will, Clark, Grinny, we're all talking about different things and finding different ways to continuously improve. If you're not doing that, why are you here? What's the point of being here if you're not always looking to improve? And so that's definitely something we've talked about and do a lot. Even in the dugout, in game between innings, it's like, how are you throwing your cutter? How are you holding your changeup? What are you thinking when you rip your slider? It's just a constant. It's a group of guys who are constantly looking to improve, picking brains. Knox can come to me and pick my brain. I can go to Grinny and pick his brain, and it's so much fun because it's just a group of guys who are just eager to learn and improve.
Roz talked about how difficult it is for pitchers before the season to have such a difficult turnaround time, such a short turnaround time to build up. How has that build up affected you, or how have you built up to get where you're at right now in the season?
Yeah, it can be difficult at times. They built me up as a starter in the winter, so I've got quite a few pitches on the arm from the winter scrimmages, but it's all about just maintaining a workload, throwing enough in between starts so that you feel good and that you continue to push the ceiling up. I think Grinny threw 107 or 108 last weekend or the weekend before, something like that. So as long as you're feeling good and staying healthy, I think those are the big things. But I was 93 last weekend, I think, or last week, and another 40 over the weekend. So it's just for us, the biggest thing that I think you have to do is just make sure you're taking care of yourself, being honest with the coaching staff about how the arm's feeling, getting with Cody and Tom, our athletic trainers, and making sure you're staying healthy. So as long as you're doing that, I think people are surprised at how many pitches you can put on the arm if you need it. So.